Charlie, don't lean forward.
All right, Mel, relax back.
You relax yourself.
Relax back, yeah. No, Jimmy's just a smart ass, mate.
No, we're just, this is how we're starting.
I thought it was a great point you made. This is how we're starting.
No, you're just, got to get you in the correct position.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that support from you and Stephen.
Stand up straight, or sit up straight, shoulders back, like we're at school.
Thanks, mate. Cool. How are you there? You good?
All right. Yeah. Have we started? Yeah, we'll start, mate. This is how we start.
This is how we start now?
Yeah. No,
that's all right, mate. That's all right. You didn't miss much.
No, not much was.
Obviously, I haven't been listening to the bar round lately, mate.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Yeah, good to have Steve in the house though as well.
Yeah. Works on the show but doesn't listen.
Yeah.
Do you all like it? Have you subscribed to us?
To the buy round? Yeah. Well, of course.
Do you like it?
Do I like the buy round? Well, I don't listen to it like when I'm not doing this stuff. You know what I mean? Because I've already hear it.
Have you given us a rating yet?
I've given us 5-star rating, of course.
5 stars.
5 stars, yeah.
I was 4.
You get 4.
5 was the lowest.
What was the star we missed out on?
You.
Well, speaking of reviews, we've actually got a massive giveaway to do, don't we? Massive giveaway. If we are currently, I think, on like 800 reviews on Spotify, and like 200 something on Apple. If we get to 1,000 reviews on Spotify by the end of this year, and how many games of first grade did you play?
I don't know.
Let's say 430. It was around that, wasn't it? Let's say 430, or let's say 450 to have a good number. If we get to 450 reviews on Apple,
yeah,
and 1,000 on Spotify, if you've entered, just get us a screenshot of your review. That's your entry, and then the winner gets dinner with you and 3 mates with James Graham in Sydney or Brisbane.
Massive.
That's big, yeah.
In Sydney or Brisbane.
Sydney or Brisbane.
Have we told Jimmy that? Or is it just
well, it's good for him to know now.
If they live in Brisbane, no, it's going to be like...
We'll have to figure it out when we're in Brisbane. We're in Brisbane all the time, though. We're in Brisbane all the time.
All the time is a bit...
Mate, we're in Brisbane
vague.
heaps. We're in Brisbane heaps.
Magic round dinner.
Yeah, but like...
Yeah, true.
But, you know, I'm there to work. This is going to be like a very social event.
This is work. This will be a work social event.
Work social event.
Dinner, you and 3 mates. Nice dinner as well.
Nice dinner.
Drinks included.
What does nice dinner mean?
Wine and dine. It means like...
McDonald's.
Well, hey, Macca's is a nice dinner. I love my Macca's.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky to have Macca's if you're listening.
Yes.
That would be a great way to have dinner. But yeah,
a
nice... If we're in Brisbane, for example, like what's that nice steak joint at that bar?
Do you know there's a really good steak joint in Brisbane? It's called the Norman.
The Normand.
And they give you these bread rolls with the steak. Obviously, I don't eat bread.
Oh, why is that obvious?
Because obviously it's not very good for my body.
Why is
the
bread,
body is...
Is bread a bit...
It's a refined carb.
Is it though?
What if you have sourdough bread?
This one is definitely... It's like a brioche.
Yeah.
It is unbelievably good, I've heard.
Yeah.
Of course, I've heard. But yeah. Sourdough is all right for you, yeah.
I think it's a bit of an over-analysing with the... You know, there's nothing more annoying than when someone's like, oh, don't eat this. It's like... Yeah, but I've seen you on a weekend and you're choosing not to eat a certain food. Like
you're a bit like that, though.
You're going all in on this, and yet I'm about...
You're a bit like that.
I'm the company that goes, I'm carbon neutral. So I'm pumping a load of shit out there, but I'm offsetting it somewhere else by, I don't know, paying someone. That's what I do. Go hard on the weekend, but then go hard training. But I'm not one of these nitpickers that goes, oh, I'll tell you what, I don't eat, I don't know, bread.
It's funny you say that, though. Every single time you come into Triple M, you eat the exact same thing. Garden salad with chicken, no goat's cheese.
Yeah,
you have that every single time, though.
Why did you have to add in the no goats?
Because I always have to go and get his food for him.
No, you don't.
I do. I always have to get your food for you. You don't want goat's cheese for some reason. So you are a bit like that. You have a salad.
What about sheep's cheese?
It's just more like in the particular place Charlie's going on about is the salad. They go a bit heavy on the goat's cheese. And also, if you're getting a salad, what's the point in having a load of cheese? It defeats the purpose. I'd rather have something like a sandwich. For the
cheese is good for you.
Nah, well, I mean...
Can be good for muscle gaining purposes?
I think we've lost track. It's like calories in, calories out.
Yeah.
So if you have half a block of goat's cheese, the salad just, well done, give yourself a pat on the back. You're not banking up these calorie deficits for the big bender on the weekend.
I'm not looking at calorie deficit. I'm just looking at overall health and well-being.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying about who I am. I'm like calorie deficit, calorie surplus. No.
Yeah, I'm just feeling very zen at the moment. That's all.
Yeah. You're looking great, mate. As well, you're looking great.
Do I look oxygenated? Because I'm quite oxygenated. I've been in the pool doing breath holds and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm feeling very oxygenated.
You doing ice baths and stuff?
No, I was in the pools doing whole breath holds and
So thankfully you've not had any bread.
No,
that's probably.
You are looking slim though as well. You're getting fit for something, are you?
Probably the season, or midway through the season.
No, not this season. Obviously, summer's coming up. Shirt's going to be off.
Are you shirt off now?
What do you mean at the beach?
Obviously, you're not. You're pasty.
Well, I get it from time. Or rashy.
You wear a rashy, do you?
Of course I do, mate. Yeah.
You do not wear a rashy.
Sometimes if I'm down the beach with the kids, yeah.
You wear a rashy?
Mate, yes.
Why do you wear a rashy?
Because
I don't think rashies are designed to keep you out of the sun. I think they're designed for surfing.
No,
so you don't get rashes on your titties when you're paddling out.
And they're for grown. They're not for grown men, really. They're for more like kids and stuff.
Mate, would you rather have me?
It's a great example for your kids.
Like, I'm not going to put one on. Like, it's like, so say Nippers is on Sunday, right? Bounce down the beach. You've either got to go, bang, throw the rashy on, boom, laughing, sweet, bit of sunscreen on the face, thanks for coming. Or it's like, oh, I'm going to like slap
Mate, you don't need to
all over my back. Always miss a spot. It's difficult. And then you're in the water, you're out. It's like, oh, should have put some on because it's a bit wet.
You don't need to get involved in the nippers, though. Your kids are going nippers. You're not doing nippers. Okay. Like, you don't need to get involved and get a rashy on. You can just go hang out.
Actually, I do go and get involved, Charlie. This is what I do. I get in the water, get in the mixer, or I'm stood there watching.
So you're like one of those helicopter parents. Can't even just sit and let your kids enjoy nippers.
How long does nippers go for?
An hour, maybe.
About an hour and a half, yeah. By the time
that's how scared of the sun you are. An hour and a half.
Mate, I can't be going in the sun for an hour and a half, no cream.
I actually went to the beach the other day. Sammy Walker went to the beach, same beach. It was so cloudy, it was cold, so I had my shirt on. He had his shirt off. Man, he's burnt to a crisp.
Is he? Jeez.
But I don't understand. The sun was not a present.
And that's it. You know what, though? You guys will never understand what it's like to be like us. Like the easy burners.
Sammy Walker, born and bred Australian.
Yeah, but he's obviously an easy burner.
Like, my girlfriend's an easy burner.
You don't know what it's like. There's nothing worse than when you're talking to people and like, oh, that's all. It's like, you do not understand. Like, leave your opinion to yourself.
Yeah, well,
like,
I get burnt, but I don't like complain about it.
Yeah, but we get burnt more easily.
Also, you
and then
probably
when we try to do something about it, you get criticised.
Do you take like beach umbrellas down to the beach?
It's for no,
not for nippers. But if you had a full day at the beach, you need that.
There are some days where I don't go. I'll whip it off, but get a bit of cream on. You know.
Yeah. Well, I like my missus is a easy burner. It's kind of like in some ways ruined my life. Because I used to be the kind of person who could spend like six to 8 hours at the beach, you know? And then like when I go to the beach with her, she wants to spend like 30 minutes at the beach. I'm like, this is not going to the beach. Just going for a swim.
Why do you need to be there together? Because again,
we don't have to be.
I don't drag anyone down to my level. I'll just go and stand in the shade.
Often you probably end up going to the beach with your partner the most out of all the people in your life. True or not true?
Probably.
So then that's why it hurts me.
But do you need to be there? Like, do you need her to be there? Why don't you say,
I don't like doing things by myself.
Go and get a coffee, love. Go and have a nice seat in one of those little places in the shade, and I'll just be here enjoying the beach by myself. Yeah, you need someone to like, oh, you can't be seen on your own, Charlie. I'm too cool for school.
I don't know. I think being by yourself would be being too cool for school. I'm clearly needy and want to hang out with people. You know? But anyway, the Roosters signed Reece Robson.
How long did it take to get?
Speaking of beach,
that's the small talk. Speaking of beaches,
speaking of getting birds,
4-year deal from 2026.
That's a big deal, eh? 4 years,
long-term contract.
How old is he? He's my age, I think.
Yeah, I'd say he'd be about that, because he was at the Dragons. Dragons thought he wasn't the hook for them, end up in North Queensland. Now he's going to be at Bondi. I mean, it's hard to talk about that deal and if it's good for the Roosters. Obviously, mate, I imagine it's hard in your position. Sign a player in your position.
I mean, he's a great player. Like that, there's no taking away from that. It's just, yeah.
Are you looking at it as the end of your Roosters career?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of already kind of knew that. Like with the talk I had with Robbo and stuff, like obviously I didn't talk about the Reece Robson, like I didn't ask him about that stuff, so we didn't really have a conversation about that. But we had like an honest conversation, and it was pointing in that direction. But yeah, like I said, although nothing's happened with him talking to me about leaving this year, so give the Roosters one last crack before we see what happens.
Yeah.
2025, get back around May, and go all in for the Roosters.
Yeah, I think I'm 6 months from now.
Now is the
It's 3 weeks. I'm 3 months and like 4 days.
So May, like magic round time, round 10, round 11, around that.
Can probably come to that feed with some of the winners.
He could, yeah.
I probably could.
If the winner
I might
happens to be
actually
in
win the
Brisbane.
prize.
Yeah. Well, you've got to get your review in by the end of this year. So we've got to do 1,000 reviews or 450 on Apple.
Not that we have any control over this because we don't know the owners of the buy round, but if they were listening,
we are the owners of the buy round. Sorry, you're being sarcastic there.
But if those particular people that make the decision could choose someone in Sydney, would be great and fantastic. And I encourage Brisbane listeners or even Melbourne listeners to try if they want to come up.
No, but if they do get the review, you're just going to figure out a way. Like Magic Round.
Yeah, well,
Magic Round, exactly. State of Origin, there's heaps of times. That's not important.
Yeah, that's not important. Yeah, you're right. Sorry,
it's not important. It's a bit like when, the similar stuff's happened to you when Bulldogs signed Aaron Woods. Did they have that conversation with you and say, or did they sort of pretend that Woodsy wasn't going to replace you?
Look, that is... Yeah, it's going obviously a bit of archaeology going on. Thinking back, going through the brain, that was a very, very strange time. Look, I was led down a path and I think lied to. I don't blame those people that did it, but I was told I was part of the club's plans moving forward when that was an actual impossibility.
Yeah, see? Well, I've got to give my respect to Robbo. I don't think he told me I was a player.
But have they spoken to you about Robson and been like, mate, I hope you're doing all right?
But they spoke and told me the truth. Like, we don't think, sort of going to carry on from 25 to 26.
Yeah.
So
But you never know.
Geez, with 2025 Roosters, 2026, have you got conversations happening now in the background with your manager?
Well, he does most of the conversating. I just say, sounds good.
Have you been to meet any clubs yet?
No,
or had any? Any
I sort of still on that. Like I told him where I'd would like to end up in places, but that obviously can change. But I haven't gone to any clubs or spoken to anyone directly about the stuff until I sort of just want to get body right, back to my best footy, not best footy, but back to my feeling my best, and then go on from there and then have the honest and truthful conversations with other clubs.
Yeah.
And with yourself, are you looking to, what role do you want to have? You want to have starting hooker, play 60 to 70 minutes a game, or do you want to have a bit of that versatility of playing a bit of hooker, playing a bit in the forwards?
I'm not too picky with that at this stage of my career. I mean, if I can go to a team and help them out and try win a premiership, that's what I want to do. And what the coach, the plan for me is, if it's play 60 minutes at hooker, it's play 60 minutes at hooker. If it's play 40 at hooker or 20 at lock, I'm open to either.
Yeah, cool.
Suggestion, as long as his plan is me helping that club be better.
Geez, you've said you want to have your future figured out definitely by the time you get back.
Yeah.
But have you got sort of a date in mind or a deadline at all?
Nah. Well, the deadlines are whenever I'm back.
But you think, let's say a club comes in.
It's probably been accelerated, to be honest. It's probably a little bit further on because I know now that it's
not
the writing's well and truly on the wall.
But some clubs make moves late and they wait. But are you thinking if a club comes in now and says, look, we want to get that sorted, you're not going to go, oh no, I'm going to wait a little bit for everyone to get in. You're open to signing now. You're not waiting for everyone to get their
obviously, I won't go too much deeper, but if the couple of the clubs that I have in mind have table something and are keen. Like I'm, I'll probably, I don't know right now because the cousin hasn't come to me, but it's likely to think that I would be stupid to, turn that down.
Are you a player that is in the position now where they feel they need to go and meet the coach, have the tour of the facilities, be sold the club, or are you experienced enough to know that, look?
Nah, I think that's, I'm past that point. I mean, I've done that before, and
like if you stay in Sydney, you don't need to go and tour the facilities.
No,
it's a sit down, meet with the coach, talk about the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more so like going to a club where I feel like my personality and my game style will fit in. That's more what I'm worried about, and going there and enjoying my time there.
Yeah.
Rather than touring the facilities and them telling me a whole lot of stuff that is just a selling point. You know what I mean? It gets it's no point in me doing that anymore. I feel like what the clubs that I have in mind, or the clubs like that my managers talk to, I feel like I know what to expect from those clubs, and I know what they're going to bring to the table. I don't really need to see if their gym's got air conditioning or something like that. You know what I mean? But yeah.
How are you feeling like about going back to the Roosters though? Like when you are fit, because like Ivan did a podcast today with Danny Weidler, and he said that the Roosters want you gone yesterday. Like they already want you gone, which is a strange thing for them to be letting out publicly anyway. But how are you feeling going back then to training and being around the boys, being around Trent Robinson, being around?
Well, like if I go there and act like I don't want to be there, well, look, I do want to be there, and that's the thing. I want to be there. I want to be at the club, and it's not so much I want to, like, I don't have any animosity towards the club or anything. I understand what it's like. I understand, the business, but at the end of the day, if I go in there like that, it's hindering my chance at being the best I can be, and my chance at going to the club and actually helping them out for the back end of the season. Because I still want to win premierships, I still want to have a success in my career. I still want to have success for the club. I still want, the players next to me, especially. That's probably the most important part, is the players next to me. I want them to know that I want to give my all for them out on the field, and I'm not going to go into the club and be like, fuck, nah, these guys don't want me, and then I'm going to ruin, the I guess the vibe in the locker room, and then I'm going to ruin, how people, when I leave the club, how people are going to think of me, especially the players. So it's me going in there and nothing really changes. I'm going to go put everything I have at training and go hard and try to be a good influence and do my part until Robbo comes up to me and says, mate, go look for another club this year, then that'll be it.
Just on that, Cheese, so, looking ahead to your future, you're injured until June. Is there any sort of inkling to you to say, well, look, the Roosters don't want me. Like, I'm not part of their future plans. They've gone in a different direction with their dummy half. If a club comes to the table and says, look, we're going to take over your rehab, we want to get you in our systems now, we'll give you 3 years or and then this year as well, the Roosters tip in like 60% because that's roughly where it would be at. Like, they'd have to pay you up until you're back from injury anyway. Is that something that you'd entertain, or you just I'm staying at Sydney Roosters?
Nah, like at the moment, like the vibe I get while I'm at training is they still want me there. You know what I mean? Because like all the coaches and all the way they treat me, even Robbo, the way he treats me is like very kind and nice, and like nothing's really like our relationship. My relationship with Trent Robinson hasn't changed. Like, even though my plans moving forward from 2025, that's where it's kind of, it's a bit sketchy, because I like that's why, if he does want me gone, and what Danny Weidler says, he's making it seem a lot different to that opinion, and like he rang me and told me that we don't want you gone this year. So it's I
think you can only take them at
exactly
their word, right?
Exactly, you're going to take what they say, and as long as he treats me like that and doesn't start shafting me, like I still feel like I belong at the Roosters. I still feel comfortable there. So until that vibe changes, until that sort of has a turn, then that will definitely be an option, and that'll be a conversation I'll have with my manager.
It's going to be interesting with the Roosters and what they do. Because obviously a lot of players coming out. I mean, if you're interested in the Roosters and the player movement stuff, the Jarome podcast you did on Sunday was so good. Just hearing his story about his exit and stuff. But obviously Robson's the first move. But you got to think that they'd probably got a few more moves at their sleeves. I mean, people aren't talking about it, but Dylan Brown's actually available now, November 1 guy, because of his player option.
Yeah,
I think he's got like similar to Moses last year, or a couple of years ago, round 10. He's got to make a decision by. But there's a few more moves they've got to make, and Robson could just be like the little tip of the iceberg. Because I mean, you think about May, it's such a strange one. Like him leaving, like him sitting down here just made me think bizarre. Such an impressive guy. Seems he's got his head switched on, doesn't drink, trains his butt off, doing marathons in the off season.
How crazy
bizarre.
was that interview where he's like, we're asking about his off season training. He's like, oh yeah, mate, I'm doing a marathon. Like, you what?
Plays a lot of Oz tag and that.
That attitude is incredible.
Just seems like the perfect guy.
I went and seen him like a couple of days before the potty. Actually, I dropped some stuff off to him, and walked in there. It's just him and his babies and his partner and his mum. Just chilling out. Like
he's doing his 75 hard in the off season.
Yeah, it's real humble family guy. Like seems like the perfect guy. Like when you guys are losing Jared Hargraves, like perfect forward to jump in and be that alpha. Like I know you got Spencer there, but like Lindsay Collins, how old's Lindsay now? He'd be
my age.
He's your age? Okay, yeah. But I mean, he's had it's a tough conversation.
Sorry, how old are you?
28.
He's had a lot of head knocks at Lindsay as well. So you just don't know about his future, and if he has a couple more head knocks, what could happen. But it just seems bizarre that they let May go. And also great value player as well. It's not like he was on. He's on a big contract. He's on like 400-500.
Absolute steal.
Like steal, and now he's probably got an extra 200-300 going to the Tigers. Like,
I guess I think like at the club they have a lot of like board meetings and stuff like that at the Roosters. It's a big club that have like a 5-year plan and all that stuff, because they sort of talk about it with us, but maybe it just wasn't. That's the only thing, because that's the only thing I can have that can explain it. To be fair, and it's hard because you nitpick at anything to try to find an explanation, but especially when it's as confusing as this one. But
does it tell you, Jimmy, that they've given up on next year, and that they think they're going to struggle next year?
Well, look, the May thing or the May move was interesting. I think what you're looking to do, my observations, and when I've been a part of rugby league, when you're building a roster, you're striving for value. And with May, you got value for your money. So, like we said, he's been paid, $400,000 a year?
He was, yeah.
Now he's being at the Roosters, and he was playing above and beyond that value, which is really difficult to get without a player knocking. And bearing in mind, he just re-signed in April, without that player knocking on your door and saying, I need an upgrade. That's usually what tends to happen in this business. Of players are underpaid, they go banging on the door for more, and or they get their head turned by another club. And it wouldn't have surprised me if May had continued on in this form next year, that clubs wouldn't have thrown big money at him staying at the Roosters. So that seems strange, but the only explanation for that was it's the Ben Hunt. They're going to go for Ben Hunt. They need some cover in their halves and in their hooking position. Ben Hunt became available. Right, we need to move around some pieces. Let's not forget who they've lost from last year. Jared, Manu, Sualihi, Tupanua, no Walker, no Cheese.
Luke Keary's gone. So it's a huge exodus without any real major signings of note. So I just wonder now with May going, and look, with all due respect to Brandon Smith, who I know is in the room, like if they were to pay out Cheese for this year, I wonder if their tactic is to go, we're going to front load people's contract for this year, which then frees up more money for the following years. So let's take Collins, for example. Say if he is on 750 over 3 years, the next 3 seasons, you front load that to 1.25 in 2025, and then 500 for 26 and 27, which then frees up some extra money in those years to go and land
some of the bigger fish that, in the rugby league rumour circles, the names that constantly get linked with the Roosters, Ponga, Brown, Moses, like we've seen them sign Cronk, sign Sonny Bill. Like they get the big dogs when they become available, and they're a club that, like G said, they're 5-year plans, and I'd never say that they're going to put the line through this year, because speak to some other people in the know, they say they've got this incredible crop of young forwards, and maybe that's the justification for letting May go. Maybe it's just plain and simple as this guy wants to play 80 minutes. We've got Collins, we've got Lenu. We can't afford to lose this other young crop, and maybe that's their justification. I personally am still, after sitting down with May for 2 hours, it made me even more confused because of the person that he is. I didn't really have any preconceived ideas, seen him play, but I was blown away by him.
Yeah, even how engaging he was with everyone as well. Like, he seemed so impressive, like the perfect young footy player, basically. Like,
yeah, I think with the Roosters, they're a club that will consistently strive for the utmost and victory and premierships, but they in years gone by, or if you look at the past sort of 2 decades, they have had little blips in years. If you look at the Roosters as like a stock performance, you'd be like, oh, there's the 2008 financial crash, and then it's like up, and then it's there's COVID. Yeah. So they have these market crashes, but they only last for a short period.
They're the quickest rebuilder
and
in the game.
Rebuild back. So, look, I'm not going to put a line through them, but with the amount of talent that they've lost, and plus the absence of Walker and our good mate Cheese for the start of the year, it's going to be tough.
And they've just been so unlucky with injuries as well the last few years. Like, you think, I mean, this year, I reckon they would have been Panthers' closest contender. I reckon if
we were all getting excited, weren't we? And then they played Canberra on a Sunday, and
and your mate Elliot Whitehead,
shithouse.
May's going to the Tigers. A story about the Tigers. Tigers just know how to stay in the headlines. They know how to find the back page of the paper.
You know what's actually funny about that? Wait, I'm sorry. So I got some kid for a class project. They had to write a letter, and it's like a well constructed letter. And his letter was he sent it to the Roosters. It was to the NRL referees, how they should have suspended Elliot Whitehead for at least 8 weeks. He's like 11 years old. So it's like, get him into training, got him a few gear and stuff. But it's awesome.
That's quality. You wouldn't think that the youth of today have to
They said that the referees unfairly treat me. I was like, he's hit the money on the head, nail on the head.
I can't believe that goes on in the education system.
Well, write a well-constructed letter.
Yeah. Well, it's not.
Well, it's just putting together an email, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but you don't.
It was an email.
It was an email. There you go.
Well, there's a difference when you do a letter. What we learned at school, you might be too young for this.
Well, letterheads and stuff.
No, you'd write your address. You need your address on, and their address on in the top right corner was your address, or the top left.
A lot of addresses there.
No, you did. You because it was like that's what you replied.
You are trying to think back 40 years. So I understand.
And even things like
also, you're not much older than us as well. Like, how old are you?
Relax a little bit, mate.
How old are you? 38? 39?
39.
You're 40 next year.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
So like I'm
Big fight. You can have a 40th?
I'm 11 years older than you.
Yeah.
So it's like the education that we would receive. So you don't, and also how you sign off, like yours sincerely is when you know them, or yours faithfully is when you don't.
What was dearest as well? Was that something you used to write? Like dearest,
beloved.
Is that when kind regards.
Yeah, kind regards, all that nonsense. But it was very structural. Now
that's what I mean. They had to have a structure.
See, I would have been better right now.
Hi,
you know what?
Hope you are well.
To whom this may concern, signing off an email.
To whom this may concern, Jimmy is a dosser. Cheers, comma,
and then your name.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Are you supposed to put a comma in?
Yeah,
I put a cheers. I do cheers, comma, Charlie.
Comma, and then a space.
But cheers is a bit relaxed. I didn't realise. So some people find the cheers offensive.
Oh, well, you know what? If you're offended by that, then good luck out there. If someone said I'm offended by that, I'd write them a sorry letter.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for you. Like I genuinely feel. If someone's
Please
offended
delete my
cheers-
email address.
Yeah, well, some people will be like hit you with a kind regards, but I'm a cheers man.
Yeah.
But also, the other thing is I don't like it when people don't say hello in an email though. It's just like the reply. Like they just don't write anything. It's just the reply.
Oh man,
no
my
hi,
emails
no
are
goodbye.
shocking. It's my emails are just text messages.
Yeah.
Like, I get one.
Yeah.
I just reply, yeah, sweet ass.
I think it depends on who you.
Well,
you know,
how often do you boys have to send emails? You
You know
might do
what?
now. You're retired. Well, you don't have to send emails, do you?
It actually gives me anxiety, like structuring an email properly, because I'm sometimes have to email some, I guess, professional people.
Mate, you FaceTime with no shirt on. Of course.
That was a one-off. But
You've got me to write emails for you before as well.
I have.
Yeah.
And pretend.
So
to
are
be
you
me
telling
in the
me that-
background.
I see-
Hey, good to chat before. What did we talk about again? It was great to chat.
Hope you're
So
well.
are you telling me
Cheers.
you disregard your moral compass when it comes to structuring emails and you go abide by the social?
What?
Yeah, you do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. You just talk about being this rebel, basically.
Yeah.
But you on your
don't
emails.
confine to the social
The
norms.
social
But when it comes to an email,
You're
I don't
right up in
confine
there.
to social norms, but on an email, I know it could be the difference between landing a deal and not.
So you're a deal maker.
yeah.
You're a bit of a mover and a shaker.
I'm about desired outcomes. The desired outcome is to land a deal
Yeah.
or construct an email correctly. And if mate, you know what? I'm in the open mindset. So you know what? We change. If it's raining outside, I put my raincoat on.
So you're a chameleon.
I adapt to the environment. I'm an
Are you a
environment
Gemini?
and adapter. Oh no, I'll just do this.
I actually-
Choose. No, but yours faithfully.
Mate,
Yes,
I actually went to,
warm wishes.
this is the way I've talked, but I actually went to a party, Sandon Smith's birthday party. And I got so many of his friends that I'd never met coming up to me, mate, Buy Around is my favourite podcast.
Fuck yeah.
It's like, fuck, you just need to grow up.
They don't. They need
Mate,
to leave us a review.
Yeah, these leave us a review. Then we could be going for dinner with you.
They'll be listening. They'll be listening. We need a review, guys.
Yeah.
But mate, it was like, when you meet someone and they're like pretty, I guess they're big footy fans, so they're like, holy, and they're young, a bit younger than me, so I was, quite famous to them.
You know what
But it's like they just try to find like a a relevance to talk to you.
Yeah.
What about that Buy Around?
Yeah.
Like,
You know, some people ask me about like things on the show, and I forgot.
yeah.
Like some people, I remember that interview you did with such and such a body. You said this. I'm like,
Yeah, but yours,
But
this is like a segment, so I can sort of remember.
Just
Yeah.
pretend
So yours is
as
like-
well, mate. Just pretend you do
"Man,
remember.
I'm an environment adapter. Of course, I go along with
you
it.
know the Bondi Hotel. No, the Bondi,
Boho.
yeah, the Boho. Yeah, I was there a couple of weekends ago, and it's like $5 drinks as well, from like 7 p.m. to like 11 p.m. on Saturday nights. Like
That would put me
amazing,
off.
mate. No, it was amazing. $5 drinks was amazing. But there was a bar and listener there, and he came up to me and bought me a beer, and then I saw him again, and he put me on his shoulders on a dance floor, unexpected. I was just walking to the bathroom, and he came and like hooked me up and was dancing with his shoulders, and I was like holding a vodka raspberry in one hand, dancing around. It was great.
Well, mate, you can afford to spill it at $5 a pop.
Mate, I for years was like the person that always put my mates on their shoulders because no one was really athletically capable to do it. And the first time I ever experienced it at a festival, being put on shoulders, mate, it was life changing.
Oh, it's great.
It was so amazing.
great.
Feeling tall. It's not one of my strong points.
Have you ever wrestled your mates, like where you got one mate on one shoulders, another mate's another, and you like wrestle?
Yeah,
In the pool.
In the pool.
In the pool, yeah, of course. Well, what, on
Yeah.
land?
Usually the missos.
On land's kind of crazy.
Yeah, well, when you're describing that story, the caveat is it's in the pool.
Yeah, of course.
You
Yeah,
normally
yeah.
have-
No,
see,
I'm not
you start
saying-
that story like, say if you were writing an email, like I was in the pool the other day, I had my mate on my shoulders. You wouldn't put that at the end.
That's great.
Yeah.
Jarome Luai.
Yes, and
Jerome
we did
Luai.
segue there. Didn't we?
So
Great transition.
How did we go
Charlie.
from the Tigers? Because we mentioned.
no, we went back though because we were talking about
Tyrone, mate.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But Jarome Luai's deal, 5-year deal with the Tigers, which is amazing news for the Tigers that they got him. Everyone knows about that though. It happened a while ago. But the news that came out this week, he's got player options for the last 3 years of his deal. Now, the journos are still trying to work out if it's like a one option, which enacts the final 3 years, or if it's one for every year. They haven't got that information yet. But basically means November 1, 2025, next year, Jarome Luai can negotiate with other clubs.
This is so So strange. And you know what gets me with this? Why is this being announced now? Why is this like leaked now? Like for me, these player clauses or club clauses, options, like the fans should know straight away. Like I think it softens the blow if we go. The Tigers come out and say, "Hey, we've great news, everyone. We've announced we're announcing we've secured the signature of Jarome Luai. We've signed him on a 5-year deal. There's a clause in there, a 2-player option, but hey, we've got him for 5 years." And then we talk about it. We talk about whether or not the option was needed, but instead it's sort of like, I don't know, dare say leaked.
Well, I think it came from this document that got released, which had all the players and their deals and stuff. And well, I think one of the other owners or roster managers noticed that the player options weren't listed there. Yeah. And then they've obviously contacted Journal, and that's kind of how it's gotten out.
But still, like just...
But I think he was going to go to the Dogs if he didn't get these player options, is the understanding. So did they do the right thing? Yes, it's not ideal, but you've still got him for 2 years, and you've got 2 years to show how good the Tigers could be.
No, you haven't. You haven't got 2 years.
Well, you got 1 year. Yeah, you got 1 year.
You got a year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You got 1 year. So next year's massive then.
Well, yeah.
So,
you know what?
Is it like a cutoff date for those?
Probably. There probably would be.
I have one. I don't have a clue. But
yeah, there probably would be. There normally is like, so Dylan Brown, I think he's got till round 10 to enact his player option.
Every year though.
Yeah, he's an every year guy, isn't he? Yeah.
But, so
that's a crazy concept.
So Luai, at any point up until...
Let's say round 10 for the sake of it. It's round 10, 2020... No. It would be 2026, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So it's just going to... Unfortunately, we'll go back and explore this, but unfortunately for the Tigers, the people that are going to be front and centre of the media... Richardson, Coach Marshall, they're constantly going to be being asked. Any news on Jarome?
I think Benji's got 10 weeks, I reckon.
Nah, I think he's got way more runway than that. Yeah,
you reckon?
Way more.
But their team's actually decent now on paper.
Yeah, they need more runway.
Well, do they with the way Luai is now? If what we say, he's got 1 year... I think next year has to be a success, or at least moving in the right direction.
Does he have 1 year, or you got a little bit longer than 1 year, I reckon?
Yeah. Well, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Because I reckon if it's round 10, then Luai would play. Like, I don't think he's going to sign.
No, he's talking about Benji.
Oh, with Luai, I don't think he's going to sign with another club. He's going
to watch it play out a bit more. Yeah. Yeah, because he's got 1.2 on the table. He's not in a rush.
Are you free to negotiate with another club when you've got a player option, though?
I think you have to opt out to then negotiate, don't you?
You're not going to opt out in November.
No, of course not. You're right. You're 100% right.
Look, this just creates... Charlie, you mentioned the point there that he was going to the Dogs unless he got this in. I get that, but the unintended consequences of that decision are you're bringing more pressure later. And... I've never been a fan of player options, never been a fan of club options. Like, I think I had one myself, and I was kind of like, well, it's just stupid, really. Like, yeah.
So grass if you're the player.
Yeah. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You have a bad year, you'll take it up. If you have a really good year, you'll be like,
I'll go to market.
I'm going to go to the market.
Player option with a ratchet clause.
Well, it was my last year with the Dragons, so it's like, well, I'm not going to... Anyway.
But their roster...
But I just that decision to be in negotiations with Jarome Luai, and look, I even get just thinking, putting myself in Shane Richardson's shoes and going, look, you want a real positive news story for the football club without anything negative, and you want that sugar hit from what was a poor season, and they signed the best player that was available on the market last year, but they've created so many issues now, and I just wonder if you go back to Jarome Luai and say, look, mate, we need people who are all in. So, or reduce the number of years on the deal.
I think Luai was at training today, so I'm pretty sure he's all in.
Yeah, but Charlie, I look, I am not going to question Jarome Luai and him being all in. But the fact that you've got that safety net there, it changes it. It changes it.
It changes if it goes badly. If it goes well, why wouldn't he just opt in if it's going well? You know,
you're correct.
Luai's already got 4 rings as well. He's already got four rings. So, I mean, 1.2, if it goes badly as well for the Tigers over the next 2 years, he might not get 1.2 on the market as well. So there's a couple different ways. It could actually, Luai could have a tough couple of years without that Penrith system around him. And then he's on 1.2, and then of course he's going to opt in. And if it's just one option, and
he'd get that money.
So if they come last again, he's going to get 1.2.
Yeah, I reckon he'd go close.
Reckon he would?
Yeah.
Salary cap's going to probably go up.
Maybe there's a new
team. No, but for a team that's good, or if the Tigers aren't going good, but if a team that's a genuine contender, if they put Luai on their side, I think they'll pay him 1.2 if they've got it.
Yeah, and look, maybe he'd reconsider and think that, like, if it goes bad, it could be not Jarome. He'd be going, there's more to this than money. And as well, with a new team coming in on the horizon, which we're going to speak about, which is set to be announced, that is a game changer with how the market's going to work. So I don't think, and look, not going to question Jarome. I'll reconfirm that statement. Not going to question his commitment, but it changes it. Like if you go on the he's going into a completely different environment, and he's got the parachute. He's got the ability to pull the cord.
Yeah,
like he does.
Can I give you a hypothetical?
Sure.
If the Tigers are in the bottom 4 the next 2 years, and Luai misses out on Origin in the next 2 years, do you reckon he'll stay?
Well, there you go.
Do you reckon he will?
No.
No, probably not. No. So these next couple of years are so big for the West Tigers. Next 20 years, like they've got to show some improvement. I think we did a podcast a few weeks ago. I think they will as well. I'm starting to think they're like going to come 10th, 11th around that.
Listening, I know Luai's a big signing, but I don't underestimate the signing of May.
No, mate, listen to that podcast.
He blew me away. And mate, you can tell. You know when you look someone, and you hear them talk. Some people are full of fluff. He was genuine.
Yeah,
like he meant what he said, and he even was pulling back a bit. He's like, "Look, I'm on pacing of action." I was like, "Far out."
It's funny when he did. Like he didn't speak a lot at training, but when he spoke, it was like people. Oh,
yeah, and he means business.
I think because like we're at a club where there was so many alpha dogs in one room that you get a bit hesitant to want to speak up. Whereas May's going to be going there. He's going to be the number one front rower in their team. He's going to be one of the biggest signings in their team. Like he will be morally obligated to have to speak up, and when he does speak up, he's very smart. I don't know if he's come across that way, but he's actually a very intelligent guy. Like unbelievable chess guy, like like those little things, unbelievably good at so many like little things, and then really smart, real quiz intuitive. So like when he talks about football, you kind of get shocked because he doesn't talk much, and then he makes a lot of sense. You're like,
yeah, he's going to be great for him. But just going back to the Luai situation and him signing at the Tigers with this clause or this safety net or this parachute, however you want to phrase it, it's like, so he's you look at it and go, okay, he had on the table he had the Dogs or the Tigers. Well, okay, why did he choose the Tigers then? If it's come out publicly and he said the Tigers were worried that without this clause he goes to the Dogs, so that's the reason he's chose.
Yeah, but that's a pretty big reason as well.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. A player option for the final 3 years. You can guarantee your money, but then also have an option. Maybe and if the Dogs weren't willing to include it, that's something he wanted for his security. That's a big deal.
Yeah, player options are huge,
massive. You control your destiny then as a player.
Yeah, you literally guaranteed the money of.
Okay, so it's and I know where the Tigers are at, and I know they've won 3 wooden spoons in a row.
And also,
but like I get you can play in clubs like Dogs v Tigers.
But when he signed for the Tigers, where were the Dogs at that point? They hadn't had that glorious run. They hadn't finished 6th. That's when he chose the Tigers. The Dogs and the Tigers, you could argue, had similar futures.
Even better for my argument, Charlie. It's like you've got 2 clubs down at the bottom. One's willing to do this compromise. One's not.
But you're not going to think about that as a player.
No. I'm not saying it as a player. I'm talking about it as fans. Like a long-term sustainable success. And I'm not saying one's right or one's wrong. And the Tigers could finish above the Bulldogs next year, and this could be the signing of the century. It really could. But you think which club is more likely to have long-term sustainable success? The club that doesn't engage in player options with the best player on the market, or the club that does? Let's like Penrith. Are they doing it? Roosters, they play Melbourne. They don't play it like they have the sort of formula. And I know every club's different, and there's more than one way to get to your desired outcome. But I don't like player options, even if it's for the best player who's available on the market.
So you'd rather be the team that doesn't get the player than be the guy that gets the player, but then they've got an option. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy.
Well, I know. I know it's so that's what the Bulldogs said. No, we're not doing the option,
and probably a mistake. The Tigers got him. I'd say so. Imagine if the Bulldogs had Jarome Luai coming next year.
It'd be amazing.
Be amazing. You probably a contender almost.
But at what cost?
What, you got 2 years to show him how good the system is, and then hope he likes it, and back yourselves in as a club.
Yeah,
back yourselves in as a club.
Not an effective strategy.
Back yourselves in. If you can back yourselves in as a club to build a system and show, hey mate, look how great it is here. We're competing. We're going in the right direction. You can have 1.2 million a year.
Yeah, but
Opt
I
in,
see
let's
what
do
Jimmy's
it.
saying, because you can also miss.
Yeah.
And if you miss and you get he doesn't fit in this, he's gonna rob your money. Like you've got 1.2 million, you're paying this guy that's actually not working for the team.
But then if it's gone badly, then does he opt out? Because you guys say you can still get that money.
But you're not gonna opt out. He might be able to get the same money, but is a club that's gonna be able to actually afford it? That he's willing to is he gonna go? I'm gonna leave and go to who went bad? Am I gonna go to Canberra for that money?
Yeah.
It's going to be the same situation. And Canberra's most likely not going to give them the player option because they've seen what happened with the previous one. But yeah, I feel like player options they're so good, but they're not good for clubs.
No.
They're not good for clubs at all, because if you miss, you're really stuck in the shit, especially on a 5-year contract. That's 3.6 million over 3 years you're going to be losing on a player that actually didn't work out. But
then that's the risk with any long-term deal as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big risk.
It is.
And that's probably why Bulldogs are probably done the right thing. If they're, and in my opinion, they've got Gus Gould behind them, who's probably he's a genius. I mean, look what he's done with Penrith. Look what he's already done with the Bulldogs. He's probably a big advocate for player options being stupid.
Well, also you look at it and you go, we either stand for something or fall for everything. So now any player that goes to the Tigers can go, mate, I want a player option. Galvin is coming off contract.
Well, that's it, mate. That's another big thing for the Tigers. That's why next year is massive.
Yeah, okay. Well, we spoke about how massive this is. All right, when Galvin comes off, or when Galvin goes in to renegotiate, the club can't turn around to him and say, we don't do player options. So he goes on to a player option. Jarome Bull is on this crazy player option.
Yeah, I don't even want to unpack that one.
Where do we... what's
Jarome Bull?
It's confusing.
It's bizarre. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
But then, so you've already got Buller on an option. You got Luai on an option. Galvin, he and his manager go in and go, I'll just... off me the deal and I'll just pick. They don't... Right, okay. If Nathan Cleary, Isaiah Yeo is off contract, Liam Martin, anyone...
I get what you're saying.
Look, they go, mate, you know we don't do player option. And then they don't go, well, you did it for this guy.
I get what you're saying, but then at the same time, they can say, yeah, we did it for that guy. You're not that guy.
Yeah.
You're not that guy. We had to bring that guy from Penrith. We had to get that guy. You're not that guy, Galvin. You're already here. You're a young player that's coming through the system. If you don't want the options, see you later. Penrith aren't going to give you the options.
All right, so you do that for someone else, but not a local junior?
Well, no, because, yeah, exactly. I wouldn't, because you're here. You know what we are.
Well,
you know we are.
That's how you're going to treat your local juniors, mate. See you later.
No, but...
I'm going to go out spite.
No, but you...
But like, mate,
retire.
Luai's signing could be like the single-handedly the signing that changes their future for them. Like, it really could be. It's that big of a signing. Guys won 4 championships. Comes in there like. It's going to be massive for them. I reckon if they have to do this to get him, which
maybe,
everyone says they did have to do this, that he was going to the Dogs. The Dogs had him. I think he'd even texted the Dogs saying he was going to choose the Bulldogs. Then the Tigers came in with these options.
Man, what a guy.
He chose the Tigers. So that is the thing. They are the kind of things you can do to change the future of your franchise, and it works out.
Maybe that's the calculated roll of the dice risk that Shane Richardson, Benji Marshall were willing to take, and maybe it will come off, and maybe it won't.
And the big thing is, like, now what can Benji Marshall get out of these guys? Because I reckon Benji would be so good at the man management side of it and getting the best out of these players and like building an environment where everyone loves it and is happy to play. It's just whether or not tactically he is the kind of coach that's going to make this team great. That's what we don't know yet with Benji, because he hasn't had the roster yet. He hasn't had a chance to prove his coaching now. So that will be interesting next year.
Yeah, but it's hard to say, like, I guess they didn't have the roster, but when Mads was the coach of Tigers, like we all thought he was a shit coach, and then he goes and coaches the New South Wales team to a victory, and now he's the best coach ever.
Yeah, and Mads got them 9th, with the Tigers finishing 9th, like winning a premiership.
Look, it's an interesting predicament, but look, this isn't the news that the Tigers needed coming out now. I do question whether they should have been upfront and honest from the beginning, and they're not having this now.
Yeah.
But we'll move on. We'll finish off with a bit of PNG. Expected to be announced Thursday, Charlie?
Thursday, 11 a.m. The NRL is going to announce that PNG is going to be the 18th team for the year 2028. They're going to come in.
How old, Robbie? 32.
32, yeah. And also...
32.
Geez, you're going to play till you're 35, 36. You can easily sign that. Also, it's probably going to be tax-free, or the majority tax-free.
And don't they get 16 million?
I don't know about that.
I swear I read that.
Is that what you read? Yeah. But is that just that
no, I think
with the tax? Is that basically what they're saying, or?
I think that might be the salary cap increase by them.
Yeah, they get 4 million extra.
Extra, okay, cool.
Oh, really?
Well,
4 million extra?
Well, I think it's like 12.9 at the moment, and they get 16.
Okay.
Well,
that is crazy.
That's great, but also
I've not seen that they're going to get more money.
No, I just read that on.
Yeah, maybe that'll be announced. We'll know more Thursday anyway.
One of the things I read just said that.
Yeah.
I think
with the tax thing's big though,
mate. Not just the tax thing, but the fact that they are likely going to be residing in a compound, so their accommodation is paid for. So if you think about the typical NRL player that lives in Sydney, they get taxed. They have to pay rent or mortgage. They have to pay for food. If you're on a compound, I imagine that will all be taken care of. So not only are you not paying tax and you're squirreling that money away, but your actual cost of living is reduced to
zero,
almost zero. So if they're on that,
no fuel, nothing,
you are. You're laughing all the way to the
You're
bank,
literally every 2 weeks buying a coffee in Sydney.
Yeah, you come back and you get your sort of allowance money, your walking around money. That's all you need. Like the anxiety of players when they're coming towards the end, and you throw these sort of numbers at them that they can do some simple basic maths at and go, this all of a sudden becomes an incredibly lucrative deal for the player. So we've seen, and people talk about the security risk and all that, and that's correct. But like Saudi isn't the most safest place in the world. We've seen players go there for more money, and like they're already incredibly rich people.
Yeah.
Soccer players like Cristiano Ronaldo does not need a quid.
No,
but he's playing over in the Saudi leagues.
He's getting 175, I think, million euros a year or something like that.
But he doesn't need it.
No.
Like what does he spend that money on? He wouldn't need to spend that money. He'd have no need for it. But with the typical NRL player, and look, obviously a lot of our listeners would be living in Sydney, not on this money, but with a football sporting career, it is different. So you're on like 350. Most people out there and go, well, I'd take that. Like that 350 is a good deal in Sydney.
Mate,
like,
everyone would take that.
Brilliant money.
Yeah.
But when you actually crunch the numbers and you look at the tax paid, you look at the age, obviously they'll still have to pay agent fees in Papua New Guinea, but you know, you're not squirreling much money away. believe it or not, if you're on 350 as an NRL player, like you're not saving much money.
Depends.
Well, it's like, pretty much
depends what lifestyle you live.
Well, it depends if you're living at home or if you.
Yeah, exactly. Some people might live.
Or if you're single and living on your own, like renting a place or you purchased a place.
Yeah, like your 350 in Townsville is getting you different places than your 350 in Sydney.
100%. Canberra.
Like, what's the average rent in Sydney? Like
depends where you live.
Anywhere, what unreasonable to be.
Or if say you live in the east suburbs of Sydney, if you get a 2-bedroom, you might pay 1,000. If you live in the Shire, you might pay 700 for a 2-bedder. If you live out west, you might pay 650, 500, depending where you live. Like,
so there's say 550. There's at least 25k after tax dollars. Then all your petrol, like everything you spoke about, your food. So
it basically means if you're like Mike Acevo on 500 grand a year, like he was last year at the Eels, if he was at Mike Acevo playing for Papua New Guinea on 500 grand, it's like he's $1 million player, basically, in that take home pay.
You, if they don't get taxed, you would add 46%. To that 500.
Well, so it's basically a million a year.
Man.
Well, you're 500k minus your agent's fees at 5% is what?
The average
25.
I think the average manager is now 7.3.
All right, well, so you manage your manager fees, minus your manager fees, then a little bit of walking around money. If you're on $500,000,
you don't even walk around money. You won't be walking around too much.
No, but just go through the airport. You fancy buying something.
I guess
playing away.
No,
I reckon if you're not squirreling away 400, you're mad.
Yeah,
you don't I'll pay for a holiday at the end of the year.
It's funny though, like
it'd be crazy, but there'll be players like that. They'll find a big player and he'll get $2 million if they have an extra salary, and other players will get 200 and be happy with 200. Players will be like older players will be happy with 300 grand to go over there. Like, and there'll be a player on $2 million taking home like 150k a month.
Mate, think about I'm thinking back to my last years in the game, and the anxiety around like what life looks like after football, the drop off in income. It's a real anxiety for the end of lifespan.
But then it's great to say all that, but also if you went to like England, like Bevan French, for example, he's over in England, he's on £350,000 a week, but he has his house paid for.
A week?
Sorry, a year. He has his house paid for, his car paid for. So he's probably saving similar amounts.
Very similar.
But he gets to live in England.
But he gets
living
to live
in Papua New Guinea is very different to living in England.
It is.
And
but he does get taxed.
He does get taxed.
Bevan French would be the highest paid player in Super League.
So he's an anomaly, is what you're saying.
It's the same dollar for dollar thing. So if you go to England and you're on £100,000, it's the same.
Do you think these people are going to bring their families over with them?
No, I don't think you'll get a lot of players that have well-established families,
neither.
But if you go into a compound, mate.
But mate, you're going to change your kids' lives. Like they're going to school with their mates, and all of a sudden they're going to the school, and like what if you're the only 6-year-old that's there? Then you just get one-on-one tutoring. But what I'm saying is they make enough money where they can leave their family back here as well.
It'd be. Man, it's so difficult to do. If you've got an established family, you're not doing it. You're either in or you're not.
No, I'm just saying, I feel like a lot of contracts will just not be getting through because of that. But I feel like if you're a Sydney family, you're there every 2 weeks, nearly every 2 weeks. 3 weeks is probably the longest time you're gonna not go to Sydney.
And that's the difference as well between a guy like Bevan French going to England. Like it's a 3-hour flight back, and you're gonna be back every other week, or
even on your day off. If you're
trying to sign a player that's got established in Brisbane, you're probably less likely to go because you're only going to get 2 games a year there. You know what I mean? And you're only going to fly if your family doesn't want to come and live in a compound with your kids.
But it's probably more looking after the families. And look, they're gonna take care of those anxieties.
I'll be telling the missus straight up.
You know what I mean? Like they're gonna look after it. They're gonna look after that thing. It's not just gonna be like, and we've had this conversation on the round table before about players leaving. It's what most players do. They leave. People in the services, like the armed forces, they go away. You'd be treated like a king, a queen over there. Like, you're going to be looked after. They have.
But it will be a transit club.
They have.
Like, what you're describing is guys going to go there for 2 years and bail. So, like, what are you actually building there? And why are you building it? Why are you building it?
Why? Because it's backed
mate,
up,
I'll tell you what, if they
Mm-hmm.
offered someone young, there was an up-and-comer for an 8-year contract, or you're on $1 million a year with no tax, you'd be the dumbest 21-year-old in the world to not take it up. Like $1 million tax-free, like it would be
set you for
like you'd be set for, you would not have to work.
So
after
recruitment won't be an issue then, in your boys' opinion.
I don't think so.
I think there's are there some negatives about the possibility of moving to Port Moresby? Absolutely, but that's why they've done these special measures, is to balance out that seesaw and go, well, okay, we understand that, but here's what you get. Like, we're not asking you to do that and it's exactly the same terms and conditions. We're going to improve these terms and conditions. Hey, what are your issues? Let's talk to some players about why they wouldn't come. Okay, we've got problems, we'll solve them. There are diplomats that live over there permanently on compounds. There is a community feel there. Like, you think about like Melbourne Storm,
mate,
the community
I frothed that environment.
Yeah, like
I lived for that environment.
Like
being around especially if it was a bunch of players I didn't really know, which is not the case anymore. I pretty much know, at least on a name basis, the players. Mate, and the relationships you build inside a compound, like. It's hard to for me. It's almost hard to see this not being it's unfair, like, for other clubs, because I feel like the tax incentive is such a head turner that you'll get some really good players.
Yeah, that I know what you're saying, Charlie, but I'm with Cheese. I think they're going to balance it more favourably, so it becomes a genuine option for even like a marquee player where they're going, This could be something. And obviously, the idea would be, look, this is propped up by government, which is, in my opinion, I think it's great to have government involvement. You think of government and you think security. And obviously there's links there. And I don't understand the geopolitical events, but to be backed by the Aussie government, it's more secure than some other situations our game have been in terms of their clubs in the past. And I think... I just think that the pros outweigh the cons. And yeah, you're going to get some people that are going to flat lie, just go, look, it's not for me. But you're going to get some people that are going to go, talk to me.
But 600 million is what they're getting from the government, 60 million a year over 10 years. I find it strange that rugby league needs to be like a pawn in a political game. You know, like a turf war against China, and rugby league somehow needs to get involved.
I think it just helps.
Helps what, though? Like, why is the rugby league? We're a sport. You wouldn't see this in like the NBA. Oh, America's got a team now in Botswana to help with some conflict they've got going on. You know, like it's a bit strange that rugby league needs to get involved in politics. So it's sport, whatever the best option is. And is the best option PNG, or is it because they're giving you 600 million?
Well, it is a business at the end of the day.
But after 10 years, then what? Then what if it fails? If it fails over 10 years, then instead of building
failure should put people off. Though.
But instead of building a team in, say, Perth for 10 years and like establishing rugby league in Western Australia,
personally, I think PNG is better than Perth. There's 8 million people in PNG and they're rugby league mad.
Well, that's it. You can also, obviously there is geopolitical reasons, but you can look to establish a genuine pathway system there where you know there is already a distinct appetite for our sport. Where in Perth, that's going to have to be built. That's going to be likely 2 to 3 to 4 generations of the Storm, other than Farlongo, produce many Victorian-based players.
I think like from a business point of view, revenue and like eyes watching the game, it's PNG's like.
It's 8 million.
8 million. That's double the amount of people in New Zealand, and New Zealand a majority rugby union.
But what would that viewer be worth? What's that viewer? 8 million people in PNG. Not all of them have like. It's a third world country. Like they're like 40 of them sitting around watching on a small TV.
There,
like
Charlie.
There's not worth that much in terms of like dollars as a spender for advertisers.
You are correct there.
But there's a lot of money in PNG.
I think it could work out really well. It could be great. Like it could be awesome. I think also the thing about the tax is, what if recruitment goes really well for them and it becomes heaps unfair? Where it's like with the like.
Cheese made.
That's what I think will happen.
So then what happens to Canberra?
Honestly,
What happens to?
So a 950,000 player would be a top 3 player at any club.
Yeah.
In PNG, that's $588,000 player.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So if you give me 588,000,
That can't be fair. Then that's not fair.
that's what I was trying to say before. I know
It's almost double salary cap.
It's hard. It's hard for me to say that it's fair.
Yeah, that isn't fair.
It's almost like they've
gone too far the other way.
It's an overreach. Potentially, it as it's.
But then we don't know how like the dilemma of people moving over there. But
it could, for me, I reckon it's at the moment. It's almost an overreach.
Yeah.
I don't know if the NRL and the government needed to act in such an extreme way.
I think that if they give them like I said, the 16 mil that I thought I read, and not give them the tax incentive, that seems a bit more
reasonable,
or like even a bit more. But like, bro, you're giving them. Let's say that I don't know what the salary cap. I'm pretty sure it's like 12.9. But you're without tax, you're giving them 21, like 21 mil salary cap. Do you know what I mean? Like
the bar rounds new studio
and the PNG baby.
We're doing it.
We'll be the media managers.
We're building bar round studio in the compound.
All right. Happy to go on tour and visit this facilities.
Happy to just pump up PNG for at least that 10%.
Yes. Ambassador, media manager, starting hooker. You heard it here first. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll catch you next week.